the guys I got from high school that played the high school ball, they were elite play. They were like already elite. It was the guys from the park. They weren't elite, but they became elite because they mingled with the guys that were elite, and it just rubbed off like the energy, the feeling.
Hey everybody, it's Chris G back again with another episode of A Titan's Tale, and today I'm going to do something a little different, and we're going to talk about some baseball, but how that relates to business and so forth. And I've got the perfect Titan for that tale, and that is Chris Terzakos.
That's
And
correct. Thank you.
Chris, why don't you do a little introduction of yourself before we get started?
Okay, so I was born and raised in first. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm born and raised in New York City. I come from a tough neighborhood. I played baseball throughout my childhood. I was scouted by the Atlanta Braves and Cincinnati Reds. That didn't fruition, and I'm responsible for that. Grew up in a single family. Mother raised 4 kids. Dad was out doing his thing. He came back later on in life. In my late teens, he came into my life. I grew up in Lower Manhattan, good neighborhood. Everybody knew each other. You didn't have to lock the doors. Kept the windows open.
Mm-hmm.
So I left high school. My dad actually saw me out of high school because back in those days, you couldn't learn. Everything was just fighting, hanging out. A lot of craziness in the school, throwing desk out the window. So I told my dad, "You got to sign me out of school. I can't learn in school." So he said, "Okay, I'll sign you out, but you got to go get a job." So I went. I listened to him. I got into the construction business. I started as a carpenter, working with my tools. I worked for a company for 18 years. The first 3 years, I worked with my tools, like I said. And then the boss seen something in me, which was my leadership role. And he said, "Take the tools off. You're going to be the supervisor of all the jobs." I said, "Okay, that sounds good." And it was a big company. I think they had like 150 to 200 employees. And then I became a leader, started putting people to work. I got involved with the unions in New York, Teamsters Union, Carpenters Union, Laborers Union. Nothing skipped by us in New York. Everything built back then was union. And if it wasn't union, we'd go, we call it crash. We would go crash the job.
Yeah.
We crashed the job, tell all the non-union guys to stop working. And we tell their foreman or their supervisor on job, call the owner of your company because this job's going to be union. And that's the way it was back then. I'm 65 years old.
Yeah.
I got a lot of good things to talk about, and I have a lot of adversities that I could share. But in my leadership role, I loved what I did. I love helping people. I love to put food on the table for their families, their kids, and I wished everybody a good life.
Well, I know today you're an entrepreneur, a self-healing coach, and
Yes,
an
sir.
author of 3 different books.
Yes.
But I want to talk about a story in your life
Okay.
where, and how it relates to business, where you helped a baseball team.
Mhm.
I'll let you get more into that, and how you helped lead it to 3 consecutive championships. Can we start out with that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that was a good adventure in my life. I played for that league growing up. Really good league. I mean, high end players. I played on the traveling Williamsport team. People see it now on TV. They show it on ESPN, the Williamsport tournament. I played in that tournament. So the president of that league came to me. His name is Bobby, and he said, "Chris, we got a problem." So I said, "What's the problem?" Now I had nothing to do with the league. Now I'm out working. I'm doing my business. But I always used to go down on a Sunday. I watch all the kids play, all the different teams. So he came to me and said, "We got a problem." I said, "What's the problem?" He says, "The senior division." I said, "What's up?" So he said, "We can't have it. We have to eliminate it." And I was like, I said, why, Bobby? These kids got to be off the street. The age was 17 to 20 years of age.
Yeah.
I said, they can't be hanging out in the summertime. I said, that's a problem for them. He goes, I know. He says, but how am I going to get a team together? He said, and also we don't have the money to support it. I said, you don't have the money to support it. How much do you need? So he told me how much he needed. So I said, okay, I'll help you with that. I'll give you the money that you need to support the team. So he started crying. And I said, Bobby, no need to cry. He goes, it's unbelievable. I didn't expect this, coming from you. I said, no worries. I'll write you a check. I said, you got to continue with the league. So he says, okay, great. He says, but I got another problem. I said, what's the problem? He said, I don't have a coach. So you don't have a coach? And I looked at him. I said, are you shitting me? You don't have a coach? He says, no, I don't have a coach. So I scratched my head. And I said, you know what? You got a coach. He goes, who? Me. Really? He said, yeah. I'll coach the team.
Yeah.
He says, where are you going to get the players? Don't worry about it. I'm going to recruit players. I said, and I'll put a team together. I says, with the money, go get all the, essentials, the bats, the balls, get everything you need. So I went out to a park near my house,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a bunch of guys, they're all like in the age 16, 17, 18 years old, 20 years old. They used to play softball all the time in the park. They used to play basketball. They used to smoke weed. I saw the whole thing with them.
Yeah.
So I went up to them. There was about 10 of them. And I said, listen, guys. I said, I'm Chris. You see me here all the time in the park. I said, yeah, we do see you. How about playing organized baseball? Have you guys ever played organized baseball? A couple of guys raised their hand. Yeah, when I was 12 years old, I played in the Little League. I said, okay, good. I said, if you guys are interested, I said, I want you to get a hold of me. I said, and we'll put a team together. I'd love to have you. Sure enough, that Saturday, they all showed up where I told them to meet me. It was at the league. There's like five, six different baseball fields. They all showed up. I was like, wow, this is pretty interesting. And they were like, yeah, we want to play. I said, okay, you want to play. Okay, so I had about maybe, I'm going to say 10, maybe 12 guys, right?
Right.
I tried them out in all different positions, but I seen from my professional experience what I was lacking. So whatever I was lacking, I went to all the high-end high schools to find the players that I needed. And the players I needed I needed pitching. These kids, they could play first base, outfield, third base. They could play bases, but they didn't have too much knowledge about pitching.
So you went from no budget to having a budget, thanks to you.
Yep.
And obviously, are you aware of the budget? Are you kind of in control of that, or just kind of you supplied it and somebody gets said, go do what you got to do?
Yeah, I just wrote the check and I told them, go do what you got to do.
Okay. And I'm just putting this part of recruiting. So you're creating a team, you're building a team, and you went to the place you first knew where you can find somebody.
I did.
And so you had to assess what you needed in your team.
Yes, I did.
How long did that take usually? Was it like a couple of weeks or?
Yeah. It took me at least a month. At
Yeah.
least a month. Yeah. So I went to, these schools, right?
Mhm.
And, they're elite players. So I was scouting actually pitching. So I was able to round up, I'm going to say four or five pitchers. And I talked to them on the side, would you like to join the summer league? It's high-end baseball. I gave them the whole speech.
What was your sales pitch? I mean, why
Myself-
would they want to come to play ball with you versus go and say to
I told
college
them
play ball?
I told them that I admire their skills. I said, I would love to have you, be part of something. I said, and, just have fun. I want you to come and have fun. I'll introduce you to the players that I have now. We'll get a good mix together. And they was like, yeah, okay. So I really did. I found good pitching.
Mhm.
So a week later or a couple of weeks later, those guys from the high schools, they showed up. So I started introducing them, the street kids with the high school kids.
Yeah.
And Chris, in the
Mm.
beginning, I was like, oh no, look at this. They weren't getting along because
Mhm.
they come from the
Different,
opposites,
different backgrounds. Yeah.
right? Different backgrounds, you know. So I was like, ah, and then I saw a couple arguments, and I said, listen, 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 listen. This has got to work. This is not what you think it is. We're not here to compete against one another. This has to work. And then after my speech, or a couple of speeches, Chris, this is a very emotional time in my life. I still get emotional because it was a long time ago. To think about it, the blend became such a great formula. The chemistry between them was unbelievable after a couple of speeches to each and every one of them. Now they became a team. And once the tournament started, boy, oh boy, I was so proud. I was so proud of everything going on. I was so proud.
So tell me what you had to tell them. I'm assuming you're dealing with different backgrounds, obviously different ethnicities, races. You got all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. You're right. I did.
So what'd you tell them?
I told them, listen, you just guys got to get along. And if you can't get along, then we have to take, other measures here. So either you're going to get along or we're going to make some changes. I said, but you got to get along. I says, I don't care how you do it. And sure enough, they all listened to me, I actually motivated them, with my speech, these talks, and I treated these guys like a friend. I didn't treat them like I was their boss or like I was their coach. I treated you like friends. And I think that was the key, because they looked at me like a big brother or a father that they didn't have. So they respected me in that sense, because I didn't have to yell. I didn't have to scream, I didn't have to do any of that. All I had to do was get my message across. And they grabbed it. They grabbed my message, because when the tournament started, I saw how they all started to love one another and they looked after one another. Even sometimes in baseball, they have what they call a Donnybrook. You ever heard of that expression before, a Donnybrook?
No.
A Donnybrook is when one pitcher throws the ball at another pitcher. At a batter.
Yeah.
And then the batter drops. He drops the bat, and then he runs to the pitcher's mound. And then all the teams want to have a brawl. They call that that's an old term called a Donnybrook.
Okay.
That happened a few times, and I seen how much they loved one another, how they protected one another, even for the slightest little thing. Even if a pitch went just close to somebody, another player would yell out or something like that. Which that's unity right there. That's being united, and that was the formula to have those three championships. Like back to back to back, and let me tell you, I'm talking about these players, especially the street guy, the guys I got from high school that played the high school ball, they were elite players. They were like already elite. It was the guys from the park. They weren't elite, but they became elite because they mingled with the guys that were elite, and it just rubbed off, like the energy, the feeling. And those kids from the park, I love them all today. I remember all their names today. And let me tell you, those guys from the park, they became elite players as far as I'm concerned. They became top players also.
Now, at some point, you had to be coach as well, right? Not just big brother.
Yeah, you had to coach.
How'd you handle that? The distinguishing between knowing when it was coach time versus big brother time.
Okay, so coaching was basically game day. That's when I was the coach. Game day.
Mm-hmm.
During practice, I was their friend, hitting ground balls, hitting fly balls, running bases, different situations. I taught them, like, man on first, base hit. I taught them, what you're supposed to do, where the ball's supposed to go.
Yeah.
strategies.
Right.
But I was the coach 100% game day. That's when I was the coach. And whatever signals were given, in baseball, we have hand signals, we have motions that we give out. They all need to be understood. And if they didn't understand it or they didn't comply with what I said, obviously I would have to take another measure if you didn't pick up my signals. That's the day I was firm, I was tough, and I was the coach.
Well, in baseball, it's very seldom that you win all your games. So I assume you had some losses as well, right?
Oh, yeah. Like,
Yeah. So how'd you motivate the team on those type of days? It's like, hey, we'll get them next time type thing.
yeah. I said, listen, we just had a bad day.
Yeah.
We just had a bad day. We couldn't hit today. Today was the day we had a bad day. You wake up in the morning, you got a headache, or you're having a bad day. You got a bad day. We lost the game. So you know what? It's part of the game. So they would get pissed off. Act like kids, like normal kids.
Right.
Hey, keep your head up. You guys played your heart out today. So yeah. So during the season, I think there was like maybe 14 games during the season, and then you start your playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we were like, one year we were like 14-2. Maybe another year we were like 14-4, 18 games or something like that.
Right.
So yeah, you can't win every game. If anyone says we can win all of them, you know what? That's very hard to do. Very hard.
Right. Especially in baseball. I don't know what the difference is, but it seems to be very difficult in baseball.
Right. I saw you in football one year when the New England Patriots, they won every single game except the Super Bowl. They lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl. So
Yep.
it's very hard to win every single game. But the main games was the playoffs. You had news media at the games. There's articles in newspaper. I'm not sure if you saw the newspaper articles on my website.
No, I went through a couple different pages on your website, but I'll have to go back and look.
On my website, there's all the various articles. There's pictures of the news people that were there. They took pictures of certain plays. I think one guy was stealing second base. They got a picture of it. They got an interview or a couple of interviews with me, talking about the tournament, talking about the the whole thing. The same thing we're talking about. They asked me on the news report.
Did anybody go on to major or minors or majors?
Or
college?
There was two guys that could have made the pros, and I'm sorry to say, I love him. One guy decided to go to the United States Army.
Yeah.
His name was Jose. I said, Jose, why? So we were alone talking. He said, no, my mother, single family, he didn't have the right guidance. I said, Jose, you got a lot of potential, man. I said, to become something in your life with the baseball. He says, yeah, I know, but no, I'm going to go to the Army. Then there was another kid. His name was Joey. Great pitcher. Oh my God, his fastball was like 95 miles an hour. He decided to go in the corporate world. He didn't want to play baseball, so he went to the corporate world, which I'm sure he's successful.
Certainly.
Yeah.
So we talked about how you helped the kids or young adults play ball.
Yes.
How did it affect you in your life?
Okay, so yeah, great question. So again, I spent all my years in construction. So when my company I worked for, they gave me the supervisor's position of all projects. And believe me, we had a lot of projects. We had maybe 12 or 15 projects going on. So being a leader of that company, of hiring people, I did the same exact thing I did with the baseball. I searched to see what we were lacking in the company. Okay, you might have had a great group of guys here, doing certain job tasks, but they couldn't do something else. If they were asked to do, they couldn't do it. So then I went out and I researched, found guys that could pick up the slack for others who couldn't do it. So that also became a good blend. it was actually very similar to the baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And then certain guys in the construction business wouldn't get along with those guys. And then, yeah, right, exactly. And
Yeah.
now you're dealing with grown men. You're dealing with guys in their 30s, 40s, 50s,
Mm-hmm.
and grown guys. And you had to put a lot of fires out because there was always fires. Um, there's always envy. People would be envy one another. I don't want to use the word jealous. I think they were just envy.
Okay.
Especially the guys that were close to me in the business. Other guys would get envy. He's close to the boss.
Sure.
They call him like an ass kisser. You're kissing the boss's ass, or you're brown nosing. You're brown nosing the boss. But guess what? I knew who brown nosed me, and I knew who was for real. I knew the brown noses, and I would tell you, Chris, you're brown nosing me. Don't brown nose me, bro. I'm not here to be brown nosed. Talk to me from the heart. If you talk from the heart, I'll talk from my heart like I always do, but don't brown nose me. And that's what I did, And Chris, being in that position, you're not only the leader, you also become like almost like a therapist because they come to you with their personal problems.
Yeah, I feel you because I've had that before.
Oh, you did. So here you go. Johnny just says Johnny wants to talk to you. What's up, Johnny? Nothing. I think I'm getting divorced. He start talking about his family, his wife. Another guy would be like, I want to talk to you about my kid. My kid's having a problem in school. So there were so many different things that they would talk to me about and ask me, what would you do in this situation? And I would tell them, what I felt.
As business owners, you're going to get that a lot.
Yeah.
You are, especially the smaller the business.
Oh yeah,
the more.
Oh yeah, for sure. I had somebody that I used to go to. I went to him. Actually, he's my boss at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for 18 years. Today, he's one of my best friends.
Gotcha.
He's no longer my boss. I know I have my own business, but he's like my best friend still, and he's my mentor. I didn't have a mentor in life. He was my mentor. I go to him. With personal stuff, I go talk to him about it.
Sure. Well, I want to shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
And obviously you're an entrepreneur and you're an author, but you wrote 3 books.
I did, yeah.
And I think it's hard enough to write one sometimes. So what? Yeah. I'm not that you're a tough guy, but you work out. Obviously, you're a healing coach, and I was watching some of your YouTube videos, and your persona. But what caused you to say, I need to be an author?
My wife. I gotta tell you. Yeah, my wife. My wife. My wife. Yeah.
She tougher than you are?
My wife wanted me to share first my memoir. She wanted me to share my life with people who can register what I went through at adversities, some good times in the book. She said, that was the first book, Belonging to Myself is the title.
Yeah.
She said, I want you to write a book about your memoir. So I said, okay. She says, yeah, you need to release, all the things that bothered you throughout the years. Like I said, I grew up in a tough neighborhood. My best friend got murdered. There's nothing I can do about it. He stepped on people's toes. I tried to save him. They told me, you can't save him. I said, okay. I went to him. I told him, you got to leave. You got to go to California. Go somewhere. You got to leave, though. And he didn't listen. And he wound up getting murdered. I think 7 years later, I lost my sister. Another adversity in my life. A lot of pain, a lot of suffering. And believe it or not, she died running. She was a marathon runner. And she died running. Wow. Unexpected. Like it happened like that. Snap your finger. Her 2 friends that were with her, they were doing a 10-mile run. They said your sister died in less than 2 minutes. She was already gone. Right. She had a pulmonary aneurysm. So, something like that. But then I had good dad. I built the largest casino in the United States, which is up in Connecticut.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. 7 years I spent in Connecticut. Uh, I lived in a hotel, beautiful. I had full service. It was like luxury. My boss, who was my good friend, he made sure to make it comfortable for me up there. Put me in a suite, 2 bedrooms, fireplace. I mean, you name it. Big jacuzzi tub which fits 4 people. Beautiful. He set me up perfect there. So I had a lot of fun up there. It was, a lot of people working for us at that time up there. I think we had like 250, 300 employees just on that job.
Sure.
Yeah. So that was a really highlight of my life, was building that casino.
So your business today, would you consider yourself a author? I know you're entrepreneur. What's your main business now that you consider yourself that you do? If I said, Chris, what do you do today? And you say, what?
I would say more of a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm semi-retired with construction. I still have a partner in New York. I'm in Clearwater Beach, Florida. So I'm semi-retired. Today, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm a coach. Anyone that needs help in the fitness world, if you need help with, like I wrote the book, how to increase testosterone naturally without doing any injections. I, I wrote the book on that because I experienced it. And I wrote the book on hernia without surgery. I have a hernia going on 15 years, but I know how to manage it. I treated it. Again, my wife, she's behind me on that. She's the one that inspired me. She said, write the book about the hernia. People get hernias, and a conventional doctor, the first thing they do is they set you up for surgery. And,
Right.
and then they put this mesh inside your body. It's like
Oh,
it's like spackling the wall. They put a mesh and put the spackle. So, people don't know about um, what I can show them. My program, how to live with a hernia and how to treat it. You won't even know I have a hernia anymore. My hernia was the size of I don't know, a little smaller than a baseball. My hernia is about the size of a marble today.
wow.
No, no problems. I'm still working out. I'm living life like a normal person. I didn't have to put nothing in my body, a piece of mesh, no surgery. And so I wrote a book about it.
Are you a personal coach or you do like one to one or one to many?
No, no, one on one.
One on one?
Yeah, one on one. I talk to people personally, and but I'm pretty successful at it actually.
Sure. A lot of word of mouth type things. Is that how you
Yeah,
promote yourself?
yeah. People contact me, either through my website or people that I know in the industry. They give me a call, and I work with them maybe 2 months, 3 months, just to get them on the right track. People fall off that path. To get them back on the path again, they need to talk to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, unless they're super powerful and they can do it on their own. But most people, they need to talk to somebody just
That's
just
right.
to get some guidance. You
Sure.
don't need to talk to somebody for a year. A couple of months, 1, 2, 3 months, just to get you back on track, and then you're on your way. That's all you need.
Do you have any words of wisdom on when it comes to you did a lot of it sounds like you did a little bit of traveling when you were in your past jobs.
Yeah.
How'd you balance that with your wife, if your family?
Well, uh, I'm only married 5 years.
Okay.
I was single for 40 something years.
Oh my.
Right.
Okay.
So, I had, relationships,
Right.
I had dysfunctional relationships with women, you know, I,
Right.
that's why I married my wife, because I knew my wife, you know, this wouldn't be a dysfunctional relationship. But yeah, I had dysfunctional relationships, I had different girlfriends, you know, yeah, I came and gone when I wanted to. Nobody held me down. I have no kids because I didn't want kids. My
Mm.
whole life, I said, I'm not going to have kids. And I knew that. I don't want kids. So
Yeah.
I came and gone when I wanted. Again, my friend, he used to be my boss. His name is Bill, by the way. He knew my situation. He says, I got a job in Vegas. And I need you to go to Vegas for 6 months. No problem. Got a job in Connecticut. You're going to be there a long time. I go, how long? I don't know. I wind up being there 7 years.
Oh, wow.
Right. I got a job in Pennsylvania. How long am I going to be there? You're going to be there maybe 4 or 5 months. Okay, I'll go to Pennsylvania. I had no ties. I just went and did what I needed to do. But I never gave up on fitness,
Mm-hmm.
and I never gave up on eating healthy. That was in me for years. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't smoke pot, marijuana, whatever. I don't do drugs. I have a beer maybe once every 2 months. I have one beer. So if people think I'm boring, that's okay. You can think I'm boring, you know. So I know guys go out. Come on, let's have a couple of beers. Yeah, okay. I did that when I was like 19 years old.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm 65. I'm healthy. I drink protein shakes. I eat healthy. That's it. I'm living a healthy life.
So in the world of social media,
Yes, sir.
are you friends with any of your past players, baseball players?
The answer is yes, but we don't keep in contact. But when we do see each other, they hug me for 5 or 10 minutes. They hug me when I see them. I did get a few of them into the union in New York.
Mm-hmm.
They needed some guidance. I said, "What do you want to do in life?" And they go, "No, I want to be a carpenter. I got a guy in the carpenters union. He's making good money. He's got a good pension coming up. Got another guy in the lathers union. Doing pencil rods and all that." So yeah, I did help some guys, put them in the union, and they're good. The other guys, went to college. They got an education, so they're in the corporate world. But yeah, when they see me, it's love, 100% love.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Well, if anybody would like to get a hold of Chris,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to there'll be on the Titan's Tale, there'll be a guest profile page. And
Okay.
they can go there and contact you in any way. Any closing remarks you'd like to say about your business or just being an entrepreneur in general?
Yeah. I'm sure I would love to share. So, in life, I'm going to give you some wisdom. 65 years old. In life, dedication, discipline, and being true to yourself are the 3 components to reach your goals, wherever your goals are. Dedication, discipline, and be true to yourself. So being true to yourself when you say something, do it. Don't go back on your word. Because, a man only has his word. I don't care how much money you got in the bank, but if you have no word, what kind of man are you? And then, like I told you, growing up in the streets of New York, that's one item that was taught to you by the older guys.
Mm-hmm.
True to your word. And you know what? If you weren't, you paid consequences for it. So I'm going to say today, if the younger generation is listening to this podcast, be true to your word, man. Be the man that you want to be. Okay? Just be true to your word.
Thank you, Chris, for today and your time.
Awesome, bro.
It's been a pleasure. So,
Yeah. Yep. I appreciate it. I love your questions. Good questions.
well, thank you. So, anybody wants to get a hold of Chris, go to my website at titanstale.com and go to the guest profiles. And I'll see you guys again next week on another episode of the Titan's Tale.